Well, hello, wealthy women. It is Coach Tamara here from Wealthy Woman Every Day. And as you know, I am always bringing you inspiring success stories so that you know that you are on this journey with other beautiful women out there going for their dreams, making it happen, similar to you, and with wisdom that you can benefit by. So, without saying anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and pass over the mic and the video. And please tell us who you are, you beautiful, wonderful woman, what you're doing in the world, what is the name of your business, why does it matter to you, how you help, and then we'll just kind of get going from there. So,
Okay, great. I love this. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
my pleasure.
Well, I'm KemZi. I'm a self-reinvention coach and a business strategist for Christian entrepreneurs. And essentially, what I do is I help Christian entrepreneurs show up and sell with confidence. My people struggle with self-doubt and perfectionism and what feels like a money allergy because they're so scared to charge their worth and ask for, payment for the work that they do. And so I coach them through this by helping them reinvent themselves so they can embody the new identity that is confident and that grows their God-led business with that courage and with that purpose. And so that's what I help people do today. And why it's so important to me is because I firmly believe that God put me on this earth to show people what they're capable of after life has knocked them down. I believe that he looked down and saw that people had gone through trauma and shame and fear, and he thought somebody needs to go through the same thing, get back up, and help others like pull them up too. And so that's what I do today. And you asked for like what drives me.
Yeah, the
Yeah, a
big
driving
why.
force for
Yeah.
me is the fact that I nearly died when I was 21 and I got so close. I was really sick and I got close enough to the end that my doctor said we don't have 2 more days to wait for test results to come out for you to get better. Like you need emergency care. And so they were all on me testing and had an IV bag connected to me and I was in the hospital for a while. I wasn't admitted, but I was in the urgent care for a while. And after that, I just had this awakening that I'm not going to spend another moment miserable trying to live a life that will please other people and putting to the side what God has called me to do. So, what drives me every day is knowing that I feel privileged to still have breath in my lungs, and I feel so clear on why God made me that I just want to keep going for that.
Wow. I mean, it's these moments in life, especially with yours, with that crisis where your life is hanging on by a thread and you come out of it changed in such a profound way and everything shifts, right? And like you said, just so thankful for your life. And it's actually probably one of the first success questions I'll ask you a little bit later, but about like rituals and how do we start our days, and you just made me realize every single day that I wake up, the very first thing that I say thank you for, God, is thank you for my life. Thank you for my life. And then, of course, there's so many more things to be grateful for, but it's really, we get so caught up sometimes in the busyness of the life of the world and everything that we really have to remember this is such a gift, the gift of breath, of life, of a beating heart, of all of that. And it
Really.
is such a gift and privilege. And we really need to make that focus on making it the absolute best experience ever. And so I love that one of the ways you're helping your clients is to do just this with what your coaching and your help is about. And maybe you could talk a little bit more, like, a little bit about like your programs and transformations and what really makes you so lit up when you see a change in one of your own clients.
Oh, yes. So it all starts off with an assessment. And so for your new identity, I have these 10 anchors that need to be safe. So things like safety in being seen, belief in yourself as the vessel that's been called, belief in the work you do, owning your desires, and trusting in God, trusting in others, anchors like that keep you strong in the identity of a confident and God-led entrepreneur. And so you take an assessment, so like a 20-minute assessment, and it reveals what anchors need help, need some tender love and care, as I like to say,
Yeah.
so that we can continue to grow and we can know what areas of your life we need to develop so that you can feel strong in what God has called you to do. And so after that assessment, I get to see where people are at. I get to learn more about them. And then I invite them into my coaching program, which is the Self Doubt to Sold Out Academy, where they get to help people, they get to learn how to show up and sell with confidence. They get to help more people because now they're not afraid to be seen, they're not afraid to sell, and they know that they don't need to choose between money and ministry. It all can come together, faith and profit and impact. They're not mutually exclusive. They can work together for the good of others and build their own lives, help their families, retire their spouses, fund their children's futures, things like that that they really want to do. And it can all come together under, what when God says that everything works together for good for those who love him, that is
Mm.
how it all starts to work together for good. And it's not just their good, but the good of other people. So that's what my
Yeah.
coaching program helps them do.
I love this. And I love everything that you just said. And it makes me really, think about a lot of, women or people in general. Sales sounds icky to them, right? And when
Hmm.
you realize that sales is service, it
It
changes
is
everything.
service. It's
Sales
like a
is
sacred invitation.
service. Yes, it is. It's an invitation. Exactly. It's like you're being of service because if you have some, this is what I always believe when women try, occasionally, whether they realize it or not, they get in their own way. Um, they have a service that can help somebody, right? So therefore they have a responsibility, and it's not about them. It's about being of service. And this actually, I have seen this unlock someone's potential quite a lot, because when they say, oh, okay, I don't have to make it all about me and worry and, all the things. I have a
Hmm.
service that can uplift and improve somebody else's life. Well, okay, I want to do that because my soul is nurturing and giving and wanting to help be
Exactly. It's not
good,
a one-way
right?
transaction, it's a transformation.
Oh, yes. I love this. Everything that you're saying is so spot on. And so that reframing of some of the things that we think, people always get that, ooh, sales, but when you reframe it, and I think this is definitely happening, but a lot of, women still get caught up on oh, I just want to
Like
give,
I'm
give,
taking
give. And
people's money.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Have you, have you noticed any like common theme with one of the main reasons women have trouble charging their worth? Like, does anything stand out
Yeah.
more than another?
It ends up being that what I've noticed so far is money seems like the highest commendation. And for somebody who struggles to receive compliments, receive commendation of any sort, needs validation or has a weird, relationship with validation, most likely from childhood where they were probably undervalidated or they were constantly praised or they were held to these really high standards, probably too high for a child sometimes. And now they either rely on that validation or they seek it out so much that they never feel like they're enough without it. And even when they get it, they don't know how to receive it. It's like they want to curl up into a ball instead of expanding to hear, you know what? I am good. I do good work, and I should be able to receive that. And so when you have this relationship with commendation where you can't receive it, and then money is a form of commendation to you as well, then you can't open yourself up to receive the money for the work that you do. So I
Yes.
think I call it like safety in action and achievement. They're not able to aim higher because in their minds, they'll never be able to reach any height and get commended for it.
Yeah. And and it's something that once you have like your coaching, or there's a breakthrough that happens and you're a changed
Mhm.
person and you don't go back to those old things. And for you women that are listening right now, you can start to train yourself a little bit with one of the most simplest things in the world that many women have a problem with. And it could be something, someone compliments you. Oh, I like your dress. I like your hair, your makeup. So, and oh no, this whole thing, or oh, I don't know, my
Yeah,
wrinkles are showing.
things that
Oh,
you
my
can't really
hair, I need
say.
to cut. It's all of that that is actually not the way you should receive it. All you need to do is say, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Even if you
Your
need to say,
dress
I'm
is
learning to
beautiful.
receive that.
Yes, because it starts to activate that muscle. So the next time, ladies, anyone sends you any kind of compliment, just say thank you. That's all. And you will start to feel differently inside. It will feel a little
Yeah,
weird at first. Like you'll want to say, no, this old dress, or you might be instinctively inclined to go back to old patterns, but these patterns are so important to break. And even on the simplest level of receiving a compliment is where you can start now, right now. And then of course
right.
call Coach
Exactly.
KemZi, absolutely, right? So then they get the bigger help with the things. Okay, and so what is your website? If you can also spell it out, just in case, I'll have it in the descriptions, but I always like to have it spelled out as well.
It's coachkemzi.com. So CoachKemzi.com.
Perfect, perfect. I
Right
love
there, you
this.
can book a call. You can, yeah, yeah. What I really want you to do is book a call and take the assessment. So even if you don't end up working with me, you'll know what to work on personally.
Yes, and that is so true because these assessments, they point out not only like your weaknesses but also your strengths. And so when you get a clearer picture, you'll be like, oh wow, really, I'm like this, I didn't realize that. Or it'll make so much sense to you, and you'll be able to start to kind of like get a handle on how to work with yourself. Absolutely, I totally agree with this. I think that this work that you're doing is so important because although you are training women to receive money, to empower themselves financially, charge their worth, all of those things. What winds up happening is when they start fixing this part of their life, don't you see that other parts of their lives automatically
Starting to
start to
work.
come together as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
It all works together. Their trust in God goes up. Their trust in other people goes up. Their belief in themselves goes up. Their safety, their sense of safety in things being easy and
Yeah.
in growth, that goes up too.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you just said that because so often most of us think that to succeed, we have to work so hard, so many
We
long hours. It
have to
has to be
struggle.
painful. I have believed this for so long myself. And I started basically saying a mantra or at least questioning myself. Um, what is the most joyful way that I can do this? What is the most
Mhm.
joyful way I can do this? And actually it's not mine. I got it from my main coach that changed my life. But it doesn't have to be hard. And it's just, again, reframing, asking the right questions, putting yourself in a positive position, right? Which is what you help your clients
Right.
do because there's so much noise out there, our own and then the outer world noise. And to get a real clear, dialed in way of being with oneself to set yourself up for success, you really need that guidance. And this is exactly what you do and how you help your clients. So I think the
Yeah,
work
I
you're
love
doing
that you
is
said that.
so amazing, right?
Thank
And
you.
yeah, it's a blessing.
I love that you
Okay.
said that about joy because I do like to rate things on a scale of 1 to 10, where like 10 is like most joyful. And if it's not at least an 8, I'm not doing it.
Yes. And the fact that you're giving yourself permission, that choice, that's
Mhm.
important. Sometimes we act as if we're like machines, we just have to do, and we forget to ask ourselves, how does this actually feel to me? Do I enjoy this? Do I like this? Can I see myself
Exactly.
doing this continuously? And we think that there's no other way. And there is. I mean, you just have to honestly, you just have to own who you are, accept that you are you, uniquely you, and that there is a way that you can figure out how to best serve yourself. And assessments like the one you said, and then getting in line with that is really, it's like a quantum leap way to get really
Yeah.
clear on who you are, how you prefer to function, and then go with that and build on your strengths, right? That work for you,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
are basically in alignment, right? So I love this. I love. Okay, so we're gonna go to success questions because this is really, so inspiring. It really shows how you have programmed yourself to move forward towards your dreams and desires. And it really acts as inspiration to others, letting them know, oh, that's a good idea, I'll try that. Or wow, I'm just like her. Okay, I'm not alone. So it fulfills both sides. And so one of the first questions is one of my favorites because I really do believe that there are certain routines that we do that set us up for success. So, my first question is, how do you practice being a wealthy woman every day? What specific rituals, morning routines, or habits do you do religiously, consistently, because you feel like you would be off if you didn't do that?
Okay, I love this question because I feel like wealth isn't just about finances. I feel like it's about overall abundance in your spirit, in your joy, in your peace. And so when I wake up, the first thing I want to do, first of all, is pray. I want to touch base with God because that is the source of abundance for me. And so I touch base with God first of all, and then I like to learn something. So continuously enriching myself. I always have some kind of audiobook or podcast in my ear, and I keep going with that. I also like to follow my data. I feel like you can't build on anything if you don't know the history of it. And so I'm looking at the data. I feel like even when God says, look at the word, that's the data. Like, look at what he's done.
Yeah.
Look at the data of your finances. Look at where you're at financially, where you want to, how you want to grow from there. Look at the numbers in your business. And I think we're so scared to look at the data sometimes because we don't want to see where we're at or we don't think we're succeeding enough. And so I look at my data, I keep learning, and I keep praying and worshiping.
Oh, I love that. And it's really important what you said about basically tracking, monitoring your
Mhm.
data, your stats, not only to see it, but also it keeps you accountable, believe it or not. When you have a
Yes.
routine, and like maybe it's a fitness goal or a diet, a healthy eating goal or a money goal or a networking goal, whatever it might be, it helps you to keep your eye on the prize of what you're
Right.
going. And it's kind of like it's gamifying it in a way, right? And like you see some progress and even little, my husband always says this. He goes, little successes build onto each
Big
other until you
soda.
finally get to
Exactly.
that big success. So it's not that you'll never get your success. You will just build it a little at a time and you have to be patient and enjoy the process because that actually is the best part. Because as soon
Yeah.
as you achieve your goal, right, you'll
Like,
you'll be
okay,
happy for a
I'm here.
few and then you'll be like, okay, what next? What else can I do?
That
Because
is,
we're
and I
made
love
that
that
way.
you said that. I love that you said that because also giving yourself that time to visualize and like have that ideation, come
Yeah.
up with what you actually want for your life. You can't build wealth if you don't know what wealth is. If you don't know what it is to you, you can't define it. You can't see it, picture it. So giving yourself that time to visualize and maybe even journal. Like I like to journal. I call it responsive journaling, where I'm not making myself journal every day, but I journal once I know I need that clarity in my vision, and I start writing everything down.
Yes, exactly. And it holds, So I always say, if it's in your heart, it's meant for you. So sometimes what I mean by that is whatever works for any person. And there is some of those times where you have to write it down more than once or visualize it more than once. But when it grabs you and captures you and you know it is yours, I always this is my one of my actually my favorite sayings in the whole world is let go and let God. I
Yep.
live by that. And so, you just have to ask and you shall receive. You don't have to keep banging on the door, ask,
Like, please,
constantly
please,
like
please.
writing 100 times, I will be this, I will be that. I just feel like if you own it in your soul, it's already meant for you. It's just a matter of it showing up and then having that faith and
Yeah.
your inner guidance system to help you there. So yeah, this is important stuff because this is foundational to anything in life, right? Money
Yeah.
goals, relationship, health goals, all of it just come down to connecting on that deeper level. So, okay, so as an entrepreneur, do you have a favorite part of being an entrepreneur?
Ooh. I don't think I have a favorite. Like, I feel like just getting to be an entrepreneur, like, since I was a little kid, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted a 9 to 5, which is weird because my parents were in 9 to 5s. But I just knew I wanted to start something. I wanted to solve a problem. And by the time I was 18, I had a cake business that I grew to like 6 figures in under 6 months in my home country. And I just always knew that I would be pursuing purpose through that. I'd be able to solve more problems, be more creative. I'm not letting somebody else decide what's going to happen with my life. I get to go after what I'm passionate about. And so I think just being an entrepreneur, being a problem solver, that's like the best part. There's always a problem to solve for somebody else.
Yeah, it's true. And that's so necessary because we can't always see what we're missing. We think we really fully know ourselves, but we have blind spots and we need those
Mhm.
professionals to help kind of steer us into the right direction so we don't spin around all the time. And that next question then I had, do you think that a person needs to have certain qualities to become an entrepreneur? Do you find that anyone and everyone is made for entrepreneurship, or do you think that there are certain qualities that one really kind of has to
Mm.
possess to have?
I think definitely the quality of a problem solver. You need to want to solve a problem. You need to be a self-starter. So more of a leader in your life to where you can identify a need and you can come up with a way to meet that need, or be willing to let yourself learn what you need to learn to meet that. So you also need to be teachable and coachable. You need to have a passion for self-development, because entrepreneurship, when you bring it down, it boils down to an expression of your identity. If you're not able to develop that identity and embody new versions of yourself, you wouldn't be able to grow and evolve with your business, and you can't grow a business that outgrows you. So having that eye for self-development, that self-starter quality, and the problem-solving quality, I think those are
Wow.
three key ones.
Well said. That is really absolutely on point and extremely true. And I also think, like, what you're saying about developing and growing, one of the best ways to do that is even to, the clients that you do have, ask them for that feedback, even if it's constructive criticism, because we can't grow if we don't know, right? We need to ask how it is from their perspective. We have our ideas about how we're running our business. We have, of course, the best intentions. We want to do the most, but sometimes we're not seeing it, or we didn't cover all the bases from the client's perspective. And it's good to at least consider it because it will always give you new ideas, right? To grow and expand and improve upon, and then be inspired by that and be even a bigger service. So that's really a
Yeah.
great answer. Let me ask you another question. If someone is struggling, they know they want to have their own business, like they get that part and they're ready for it. But
Mhm.
let's say they're multi-passionate, which happens quite often. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. But sometimes it might be like too many balls in the air and there's confusion and overwhelm. Um, do you have any suggestions for someone who wants to go forward with a business but doesn't necessarily know where to go, what to start with? What do you suggest for them?
I always say to find the injustice that matters more than your sense of inadequacy. So if you feel inadequate, you feel like you can't do it, or you're at your lowest point, what injustice, what feels like it's so wrong in the world? It's a problem you just hate to see, that at that lowest point, you see somebody with that problem and it sparks you up. It gets you going. I feel like that is the one thing that you should focus on first. I believe in having multiple businesses.
Yeah.
I believe in having multiple passions. I mean, I'm growing a coaching business. I still want to have a restaurant someday. I still want to sell my handmade jewelry. I still bake. I do all sorts of things, but I know that first and foremost, I'm pursuing what God has called me to do. I'm pursuing the purpose that He has. I know that if I'm at my lowest point, and somebody needs a cake, I'm not going to be sparked up to go bake them a cake. But if someone is talking down on themselves and not letting themselves dream big, believing the lies that their lives and the enemy is trying to tell them about, you're not worthy, you're not capable, you can't do anything, look at what you've been through, you're a victim, that jolts me up like all the way. There was even a day that I was feeling pretty depressed that day and I was sick, and my sister calls me and she's talking bad about herself. And at first I go like I'm not feeling so good, but when I hear her talking about herself, suddenly I'm like, like this is not how we talk. This is not what we
Wow.
do. And I'm on top of it, and soon enough I was like, wasn't I sick like 2 minutes ago? Like, what is going on? And so when you think about when you're at that lowest point, what feels like an injustice that you just need to solve? You
Wow,
just need
this
to move
is
forward.
super strong. And, listening to you brought me into two places. And I want to share because I think what you just said is so important. What you were saying about, okay, I might just not want to bake someone a cake, but your sister called and all of a sudden it was hands on, I'm here. No, 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 you're not going to talk down about yourself. And you just got called to action. This is like we're all adults. We're adult women business owners. Your sister's an adult. Now imagine that same perspective. Because my prior job, was as an elementary teacher. And my
Yeah.
biggest motivation was not necessarily about teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was about if that child felt down on themselves or was lacking in confidence,
Mhm.
I was fired up. Maybe it was a family member that made them feel small. Maybe it was a kid in the playground that made them feel small. No matter what, that was unacceptable to me. No, every child is of beauty and purpose and potential. And I was in there. That was my biggest mission. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is to all the women that are listening right now and heard this amazing advice, now imagine that the injustice that you're speaking of. Imagine that injustice that irks you, that makes you want to move and fix and change it for the better. Imagine that injustice to a child. How much more would that even rev you up? Because we all want the best for
Mhm.
children, right? So, like, that is
Exactly.
a great way to kind of really even get even more aware of what your real true passion and purpose is what would you want a child to feel like? The most amazing self-esteem when they grow up, have proper money habits and mentalities around money, healthy relationships, healthy fitness, whatever it might be. And then because sometimes as adults we don't go into a little bit of that healthy crisis mode, I should
That-
say. We think, we'll get to it later. I'll fix myself later. But if it was a child, we would be on it like that, right? So, like, because our hearts are like, this is a little kid, they need help. The other
Yeah.
thing I wanted to mention where this really showed up in my life way back in the 20s, I happened to be, let's say, dating someone that my mama didn't think was good enough for me. And I was in it. So, yeah, I could see her point, but then at the same time, it is that thing, right? When you're in a relationship, yeah, it's not so great, but at the same time, and you don't have that urgency. And she said to me, and this is why I'm bringing this up. She said, Tamara, if you had a little girl, would you want this type of boyfriend for her? And then I was like,
Ooh.
oh, okay. Well, now you got me protecting a child I don't even have, but I would want to protect that little girl. And then it shifted and it was a real big shift. And so I'm so passionate about what you just said about what do you find as the biggest injustice that you have to fix right away because it just stays with you, and then multiply it and imagine it that a child is having that
Yeah.
injustice and that you can help that child. And then that's your purpose, right?
Yeah,
That's
and that's so key because even when you're helping adults, many times you're healing their inner child.
oh, yes, yes, of course. And it's all one big circle. It all
It
it all comes
is.
together, right? I love this. Wow, we went deep, but very worthy. Very good. I love that. This is how these interviews go. I of course have my stack of questions, but sometimes it just is such a powerful moment that we just kind of like go into it a little bit more because there's more to be had there. And I think that was really beautiful. So, okay, let me see what else I can ask you. I'm thinking about one of the biggest things that women business owners fear in the beginning is that visibility element, getting on camera, feeling
Hmm.
comfortable, feeling like an imposter. Any advice for them on how to get through that? And let them know we all go through it, right?
Right? We do all go through it. And I don't think it ever really goes away, but you learn how to handle it. You learn what works for you. And this reminds me of the moment when I decided I was never going to have stage fright again. I would always sing in church like since I was a kid. And one of these times I was doing a duet for a New Year's Eve service. I was doing a duet with a professional singer. Now, I was no professional. And this is somebody that if she sings right here, you will hear her down the block. You will know it is her. Her voice is unmistakable. So she's like a professional. And she goes, I'm not going to shrink my voice to let you, you know, shine. You're going to need to project. You're going to need to learn and train. And so I was focused on how do I make sure I deliver? How do I make sure I show up? How do I make sure my voice isn't drowned? And so she was challenging me. And by the time we were done with this presentation, I come off the stage and I noticed that the whole church, and this was a huge building, it was full. The yard was full, the streets were full, there were projector screens on the street. And I'm like, did I just sing in front of this many people and not realize it?
Oh,
And that day taught me that if you're focused on the right thing, it wouldn't matter to you what other people think of you. It wouldn't
mm,
matter to you how many people are in front of you. What would matter is whether you are delivering what you were called to deliver and whether you are really helping them. So I find that if you focus on that, you dial in your focus to the service and to
yeah,
what you're doing, not just what they're thinking of you, which you can't control, right? If you do nothing or if you do everything, they're going to think something of you. So
yeah,
you can't control that, but focus
yeah.
on delivering what you came to deliver and making sure that it is helpful to them. And that
Oh,
visibility fear goes.
yes, it's exactly what how mine went too. And it. I always say it's about the service. You have to get out of your own way so you can be of service to somebody else because it's
Exactly.
your responsibility, right? Or else it wouldn't be given to you. It was put in your heart because you were meant to do something with it. And so you have to. It's your responsibility. So you will soon. And I don't know. I guess it can depend on the side that the platform, if it's in person. I don't even think about it anymore. But based on exactly what you said, it is. And I also look at that lady who said, I'm not going to dim my own shine. Like, good for her. That kind of confidence. That's what we
Exactly. That
also need to
confidence.
say, right? And so it's about stretching that comfort zone. And, it's interesting because I tend to bring this example up quite often, but it's an important one. Um, just in case somebody didn't hear every single podcast episode I created, I want them to hear this. My coach, the one that changed my life, um, she was afraid in the beginning to go live. And her beautiful, supportive husband found a little grandma making cookies and posting it on Instagram. There could
Mhm.
not be anything more innocent than a grandma making some cookies and posting a picture of them, right? Well, that grandma got trolls and people saying bad things. And like,
Yeah.
how is that even possible? So her husband basically said to his wife, no matter what people are going to say, yay or nay, it doesn't matter. If a grandma can get a negative criticism, then you're just own it. You will get criticized. Who cares? They're not your people, right? Your people will hear you and what you're trying to resonate with. And so don't worry. Don't worry about being criticized. It's part of the journey. We have to accept it,
It
right?
really
Yeah.
is.
It's but really like a little grandma, can you imagine? People just have like nothing
Well,
better to
if they
do.
want to find something to complain about, they will find
They
something to
will.
complain about.
Exactly. So you can't let them get in your way of the
Right.
magnificent journey you're meant to have, right? So, okay, let's see. Two more questions. Do you have any advice for somebody who, let's just say they're just getting started, they don't have a budget for anything, they want to market their business? What is the best way that they can start to get their visibility for their business if they really have nothing but themselves and their efforts?
Okay. Um, I would say it always starts with that identity work. You need to be able to envision yourself as the entrepreneur that you dream of being and do that work to get there. Release what you need to release, unlearn and learn so that you can really become that ideal version of yourself. So that's that self development. And then to market yourself, like you said, get visible. I see it as like three G's: get visible, get connected, get paid. So find where your people are. This takes knowing who exactly you want to serve. You need to get clear on who that person is and why you want to serve them. Then you can find where they are. So even if you have no funds, what are you creating to attract them? Where are they right now? Where are they having conversations, and how are you adding to those conversations? Are you finding opportunities like this where Coach Tamara is giving people platforms where they can come and speak? There are so many places and ways that you can get in front of your people as long as you know who they are, where they're listening. And as long as you are creating for them, they will eventually find you. As long as you're creating for them and you're going to where they are. And then you get connected with them. You need to have conversations with them. You need to listen to them, find out what they really want. And that's going to lead to them trusting you and then you getting paid.
I love that. I mean, that is so well said. And everything they can do for themselves that you mentioned here is so possible. It's just about getting into healthy habits, really, to building a business. And then they can do more later. So we all start somewhere, right? And like I said, it's a
Mhm.
little success at a time. That's all you have to worry about is
Set
that's
those
the other. Oh,
expectations.
yes. You know what? Let's have this last question because I was going to do one other one, but I think this is even better. I know for myself and for many women, it's very exciting to start your own business, but the overwhelm that you start to learn about you should do this and you have to do this and then do this and da da da. What is your best advice to, let's just say, manage the overwhelm? Because there are things that you will have to do in your business, no doubt.
Mhm.
Um, doesn't mean you have to do them all at once. But what is the best advice? Because I know there was a moment, the overwhelm was so much that I thought, this is too much. I'm not going to do this. I really thought and then I was like, no, I have a purpose and it's an important purpose and I can't quit. It's not about me. It's about them. It's about others and how I serve. Let me figure this out. And I did figure it out. And I asked, and somehow God's divine blessing showed me how to kind of circumnavigate that overwhelm that I was feeling, and it made the best difference in my business. One of the questions I asked was, what is the most joyful way I can do this? And that was one of the key points. But what's your advice for the absolute overwhelm that will hit them, and how can they get in front of it?
That's what I like that you said that because I was also going to say that coming back to that leading with joy and rating things on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I have to get all of this done. And that's another reframe. You don't have to get it done, but you get to get it
Get
done.
you.
You
Mm-hmm.
have a business, you get to have a business. And so all
Yeah.
those things you get to do get to build you into the business owner you always wanted to be. But if you just need to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 and start with the most joyful, that will build you up and give you the momentum to get through the rest of the list. So that is
Yes.
one thing definitely. But then again, I think about being overwhelmed with my podcast recently, and I realized that the vision I had for my podcast, it seemed bigger than me. And I said, you know what? It is bigger than me, but it's not bigger than the version of me who accomplishes that. So I just visualized bringing her back to where I'm at and embodying her at my level so I can be her to become her. So
Oh, wow.
knowing what your vision is and reminding yourself that even if it feels like it's beyond you, it's not beyond the next version of you. And remembering that. So bringing that identity work again, embodying your new identity and then watching your motive. So is my is my plan to be the best person or is my plan to do the best work for another person? Am I trying to, or for my podcast, am I trying to get tons of downloads that I can't control? Or am I trying to make sure that I show up for the specific person who needs my help? What's that motive? It reminds you again, why am I doing this? It's like coming back to your why. Why am I doing this? I'm leading with joy. I am working with a vision that might be beyond me, but I'm ready to become the person, the version of me who can do it. And now, why am I doing it? Let me remember that. And that'll push you.
Wow. Wow. You are amazing. I just love you. I think you're amazing. That is
Thank
so
you.
beautifully said, and it resonates on every level. I am so thankful for this beautiful interview. It is no doubt that your clients are blessed because of working with you. I mean, you are just so dialed in. You are really dialed in. And that is because your service is coming divinely and it is
It
meant
is.
to be of a blessing, which it is. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you
I
for
tell
having
you
me.
this beautiful interview. This is going to help so many women to feel part of this wonderful experience we women get to experience and have the freedom to build these beautiful businesses that are blessings to others. And you really really focused in on very important key points that are they will be able to start implementing right away, and
That,
then imagine the breakthroughs they're going to have when they work with you. So before we sign off, go ahead and share again your website so that these women can learn even more about you and your amazing programs and what you can help them with.
and can I just say something before I share my website?
Oh, please.
There's so much that we've said and we've covered, and I feel like it's important to come back to one thing. If there's one thing you take away from this, I want you to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission for the dream. Give yourself permission to be empowered. I think of empowerment like the wind beneath your wings, but to have that wind beneath your wings, like from your business, from your purpose, you need to stretch your wings out. Give yourself permission to stretch and expand and become the version of you who can make things happen, even if it feels like that is not who you are right now. You can become them, and it starts by being them, practicing what they would do in the situations that you're facing right now. And one day you'll look in the mirror and think, whoa, who am I? And how did I become this person? How did I become this woman? You are a businesswoman on assignment, on divine assignment, and you already have the spirit that is in you to help you do whatever it is that strengthens you to do all you can do through Christ who strengthens us, right? So give yourself permission to let that empowerment in and to become that new you. And like you said, my website is coachkemzi.com, COACHKEMZI.com. And I would love to work with you. And I thank you, Coach Tamara, for having me. Like you talk about the coach that changed your life. You are changing my life just being with you. And I feel this radiance, this joy, just once I hear your voice. It has this calming and like everything is going to be okay kind of energy, and it gives hope. So I thank you so much for being in my life.
Oh my goodness. You're going to make me cry. That is everything that I am. It means everything to me. Like, thank you. That's just everything I am hoping to give is to just let others know to be inspired and go for their dreams. But like you said, this is coming from divine. I'm just the messenger here. So, and the vessel and trying to make it happen. And I'm so blessed to have this opportunity to be in this position to do my very best to try and help. But that means everything to me. So thank you so very much for saying that. See, look at me, I get all choked up. But you're amazing. And I think what you just said, uh, about embodying that future version of yourself. That's okay if you think the current version of yourself maybe isn't
Uh-huh.
able, but there's a current version of yourself, many, many layers deep going forward. And I love that you said to reach into that and pull her into you now, so that you can show up as that current version until you become her. And then there'll be a next level. It's up leveling,
Exactly.
right? It's up leveling. So this is so important that we just don't see our capabilities based on our current information, because there's so much more in the future self that we get to become. So I love that you really pointed that out, because I think that's very easy to not even think to think like that, and I think that's a very key point. So it's not about, where you start, it's that you continue on your journey, and it's only going to get bigger and better over time if your full heart and soul and authenticity is in it, and you're trusting, and like you said, being willing, giving yourself permission to receive and be the best you, so you can be a blessing to others. So wow. Woo, that was a
We
good
had a
one.
great time.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for sharing your beautiful message. And okay, wealthy women, that's what you are. You're wealthy in every single way. That is
And you're
why I
worth it.
named, yes, exactly. I love that I named my company Wealthy Woman, because when I did that, it was about the wealth overall, not just financial, every wealth, the abundance, right? And that abundance is just such a blessing. And then when we can share it and help others, it's just tenfold, right?
Yes.
So, thank you for this beautiful interview. I loved it.
Thank you
So,
for having me.
thank you. Okay, wealthy women, go for those dreams. Don't ever give up. Be the current version of yourself and the future version of yourself, and just give yourself permission. Keep going forward. Never, ever, ever stop. You can do this, or else it wouldn't have been given to you in the first place. So keep that in mind. You would have never had that vision if it wasn't already believed that you could accomplish it. So just keep going. And that's all for now. See you next time. Bye for now.